Today we are going to discuss about specific learning disorder. Before moving to the topic, you should know about what is learning and what is disorder. What is learning and what is disorder? You know, our brain have right side and left side. In right side, it is about non-verbal information, and in left side, it is related to spoken and written languages. So learning is an important factor which is in the left side part of the brain. So what is learning? We will acquire some skills, knowledge through observations, practices, etc. So learning means acquisition of skill and knowledge. Learning is a process of acquiring new understanding, knowledge, behavior, skill, values, attitude, and preference. Then what will be the disorder? Disorder is disability. That is, if a child has inability to do something, that is, if any inability in functioning physical and mental. That is, if you have illness in the disrupt that normal functioning of physical and mental functions. Let's see what is specific learning disorder. This specific learning disorder is described based on Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorder 5, which is given by American Psychiatric Association. So specific learning disorder, the term itself specified. It is specified based on three major areas. So specific learning disorder, we commonly call it as a learning disability, learning disorder. Okay, what is learning disability or specific learning disorder? It is a neurodevelopmental disorder. It is not usually a physical or a mental. We can say it is a neurodevelopmental disorder, and we also consider this disorder as a scholastic problem. That is, it is found among school children. Next is about what is learning disability defined in DSM criteria. It is defined based on three major areas which are foundational to one's own ability. So that is major reading, doing math and writing. These were the three major areas we have to consider in the specific learning disorder. Here, this is a basic prevalence of specific learning disorder all over the India. Here it is says that 5 to 15% of the children is found with learning disability. But learning disability sometimes is unidentified. It is only the data of identified learning disability. And the next is about 80% of the people were found they have disabilities in reading. And 1/3 of the people with learning disability are estimated to have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And here also says that boys being more affected than girls. Next, what are the criteria to diagnose learning disorder? Learning disorder can also be diagnosed after a formal education. That is, when a child is entered into his academic purpose, we have to identify whether the child have any disability regarding learning. These were some of the four major criteria given by DSM-5. In the first criteria, they have difficulties in at least one of these major areas and also difficulty in at least 6 months of period of time. Here, these were the major areas they feel difficult. Of course, they have difficulty in reading, then difficulty in understanding the meanings of the word, and difficulty in spelling, and difficulty in written. And also understanding the concept, also the mathematical reason. Now, the second criteria deals with academic skills. And the third criteria is deals with difficulty in start during school age. That is, they have a problem with dropout. And the fourth criteria is that it is not due to an low IQ level or due to attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It may consider as one of the symptoms. That is, 1/3 of the child can consider that learning disability a factor of attention deficit hyperactivity. But here they were saying that this is not connected with IQ level and ADHD. Next, how LD is diagnosed. LD is learning disability. It is diagnosed by using different tests that is given by multidisciplinary team, which include psychiatrist, psychologist, and psychiatric social work as well. So here, diagnosis is based on these major combinations, that is observation, interviews, family history, screening test, school report, and neuropsychological test. These were the major areas professionals used to diagnose learning disability. Now let's see what are the different types of specific learning disorder. We know that is it is affected in three major areas. So there are three major types of specific learning disorder: dyslexia, dysgraphia, and dyscalculia. Now let's see what is dyslexia. You can see the picture over here. There is different words which the child can't read. So it is related to the difficulty in reading. Here are the major signs and symptoms of reading disorder. Experiencing decoding errors, and they have a trouble with spelling and may have difficulty in handwriting, and also exhibit difficult in recalling known words. You know, especially for example, these children will read the word or they misspell the words. For example, they will read potato as tomato sometimes. So these were some of the simple difficulties, but when it is not identified at the early stage, it will lead to severe difficulties. So now we are moving to the next type, dysgraphia. Dysgraphia means difficulty in writing. Let's see what it is. Dysgraphia is a term is used to difficulty with putting one's thoughts into paper. The people have or the child have a difficulty in writing what the lecturer says. So they make spelling errors, grammatical errors, as well as punctuation marks. Now, let's see what are the signs and symptoms of dysgraphia. It has unfinished words or letter and omitted words and inconsistent spacing between words and letters, and has a great difficulty in thinking and writing at the same time. Thinking is also important while you write something. So thinking, it will affect their thinking capacity as well as writing ability. Then copying or writing is slow and they also show poor spatial planning on paper. So that's all about dysgraphia. Now let's move to next type. Dyscalculia. What is dyscalculia? You know the term, right? Calculations. They have difficulty in calculations. So let's see what are the major signs and symptoms of dyscalculia. Dyscalculia is a term used to describe difficulty in learning number-related concept or using the symbol and functions to perform math experiences. They have a difficulty in doing math. Math is very important in our day-to-day life. If it is not identified in the childhood, it will affect in the adult because we have to deal with financial matters. So the signs and symptoms include has a difficulty in understanding and doing word problems, and also the maths have different formulas you have to follow and different steps you have to follow, right? So they have a difficulty in sequencing informations, exhibit difficulty in using the steps in mathematics and also shows difficulty in understanding fractions and so on. So dyscalculia means difficulty in doing math or doing arithmetic problems. Now, what are the major varieties or severity, how learning disability can vary according to severity? There are three major areas like mild, moderate and severe. In the mild case, they have difficulty in one or two academic activity. Mild is okay. They can learn they can learn continuously, but in the moderate, they have a significant difficulty. So they need a proper training to in the academic level. And in the case of severe difficulty, they will affect their severe academic area and there is a high chance of dropout. So specific education, that is, the child should be educated in a special school. So that is in the case of severe. Mild and moderate, with the proper training and with the proper treatment, we can make out. Now, what are the causes or etiology of this specific learning disorder? Hereditary, hereditary or a genetic factor may be a cause. If the child's parents have some problems related to learning disability, there is a chance for the child to get this particular disease. And next is about illness during and after birth. If the child's mother is an alcoholic, if there is any premature difficulties, if there is any physical illness at the time of pregnant, or if there is any low birth rate after birth, or premature birth, or prolonged labor, this may affect learning disability of the learning factor of the child. Next is about stress during infancy. If there is any emotional stress will happen at the time of infancy period, that is at the time of developmental stage, there is high chance. Next is about environment cause. How environment is caused if there is an increased exposure of toxins. If there is an exposure with toxins with the child, there is high chance such as lead, paint or ceramics or toys, etc. It may cause specific learning disorder. And the last is talking about treatment. So treatment is various types of psychotherapies and therapeutic interventions is provided by multidisciplinary team. And this multidisciplinary team include, of course, the family and the school teachers, especially the class teacher. Class teacher and the family members of that particular child is very important at the time of treatment. Extra help can be provided by the family as well as the school teachers. And also, we can provide an individualized education program in the school level practice. So special educators will identify those children and can give a proper treatment. And of course, therapeutic interventions, various behavioral or learning related therapies can be provided to the child. And last, complementary or alternative therapy, and it is given in the special education field, that is music, art or dance therapy can given to that particular child. So the parents and expert need to set goals and assess if the child is improved with the selected mode of intervention and support. The support from the parents as well as from the school is very important for that particular child. So that's all about today's topic. And here I mentioned about what is specific learning disorder, what are the different types, what are the major areas it is affected, its causes and treatment. Hope you got an idea about this specific disorder. These were the major references for this particular section. And that's all about today's class. Thank you.